why do the crypto markets tend to have a 3 to 4 year cycle? The reason for that largely has to do with Bitcoin and how it was designed. So, Bitcoin is known as being deflationary. Blockchains actually can't tell time, they only tell blocks. So, after X amount of blocks, which roughly works out to about 4 years in our time that we understand, what will happen is that there's a halvening that people refer to. And the reason it's called the halvening is because the block reward that you get for mining Bitcoin actually gets cut in half. There was a time when you could be making as much as 50 Bitcoin for mining a single block, which in our terms right now, we're just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Back then, a Bitcoin was worth like nothing. It was like 10 cents or something like that, right? So, but but that was the value then. But then what happened was 4 years later, that 50 Bitcoin got cut in half, and now it was like 25. And then a little time later, got cut in half, 12.5 Bitcoin. And now, after another 4 years, it'll get cut in half again to where there's only going to be 6.25 Bitcoin. And then it'll be cut in half again. So this has been happening relatively consistent over the life cycle of Bitcoin. This is why we have these cycles, because Bitcoin, of course, is the king. It is the first that's actually really taken off. And what's happens is that all the markets, when you look at crypto, they aren't actually priced in terms of dollars per se. They price themselves against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's doing well, all of crypto does well. If Bitcoin doesn't do well, the rest of crypto doesn't do well, give or take. So the reason that all the movements in crypto happen, it all starts with Bitcoin. So every 3 to 4 years, we have a halvening that cuts the supply in half that the miners are able to mine, and thus there's even less supply, which economics means if there's not enough supply and there's more demand, price go up, right? That's the way it works. So that's why we have these cycles. And that's why if you look at the history, you can see every 3 to 4 years, there's this zoop, 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 and it goes up and up and up. So this is why you'll hear people and how I've said that we could see $1 million Bitcoin. That isn't out of the realm of possibility, simply because we've seen Bitcoin go from 10 cents all the way up to what is today, as I talk about this, $30,000 US. So, and the reason for that is because it's deflationary. You have less and less Bitcoin going into the market, whereas you compare that to $1, which in the last few years, we've seen trillions and trillions of it just appear out of nowhere and go into the market. And that is reduce the value of the dollar thus. So that's the difference. And that's why crypto is so much more, is such a better vehicle, because it's able to actually have your value appreciate rather than have it diminish against all the money printing that takes place with our governments. So